Jeorgina, when you're ready, we invite you to formally open this Bretton Woods Epiphany Day as in the day of the return of the light from above, global celebration. So whenever, Jeorgina, you're ready, from the eastern door from New Brunswick, where the sun first rises over our continent.
Greetings, Father Creator in the heavens. We give thanks to you and to all that are there. May your wisdom and your guidance be with us today. We give thanks to all our relations, to the winged ones, to the creepy crawlers, to the water creatures, to the animals, to the great bear, to all that are there, that stand with us, that guide us, protect us, and help us. May our words ring true today. May our hearts open. May our mind and may our eyes see. And we give thanks for that. We hold everything dear, Creator, and we say these things. We say thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you provide for us. Thank you.
Connie is expressing in her gestures what we all feel. She's bowing and she's crossing her hands over her chest in gratitude. Thank you, Jeorgina. Thank you for the spirits that speak through you, that there are still people on this shore, on Turtle Island, who keep the connection. Thank you for opening this Bretton Woods Epiphany global celebration on the day of the return of the light from above, here in the Gold Room at the Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, the United States of America, and with friends near and far. I'd like to introduce Center Trustee Patricia Anne Davis, who is of the Choctaw, and correct, I apologize for my spelling, T-A-W, and Diné, which is a deeper name, original name of the what we know of as the Navajo people, to set the stage for this celebration, for this memorial service, this clearing service, where we look forward to laying to rest that ancient ailing partisan spirit that we see in Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody but we the people, to lay it to rest, to put it out of its misery, to pay it our final respects, and to herald the new day, the day of the return of the light from above. The party is over that is divided and would conquer us. In the citizens' movement, the movement of peoples has begun ever and anew. So, Patricia, warm welcome. Then I'm going to ask Connie to build on you, who is also her sister. Thank you, Patricia, for being with us.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome. Ya'at abin. Today, collectively, on behalf of all humane beings, on behalf of all our relations, we dismantle and clear the divisive partisan spirit that has held sway, the spirit of hindrance. Today, collectively, on behalf of all humane beings, all our relations, we affirm that we, the people, awaken as peace-loving and peacemaking people of this land and of all lands. We affirm that we are all woven into a universal tapestry of unity, oneness with all our relations. It is a beautiful day. It is a beautiful morning. It is a new beginning. It is a new year and a new way of being upon this Mother Earth, between Mother Earth and Father Sky. Therefore, today we are gathered, and we are gathered united in a victory celebration for the return of light, as we, the people, the citizens movement to revive the spirit of public service. We affirm as Earth surface people, that we are a beloved community, acknowledging the original indigenous peoples of Turtle Island and our tribal territories. And we give gratitude for our collective spiritual identity, spoken in our languages and lived in our ceremonial lifeways, each anointed as intergenerational stewards of the earth, water, fire, and air, taking care of these four sacred elements within the web of love and light and life. And in reciprocity, we are cared for by these elements of our organic constitution, simultaneously and synergistically within our natural order environment. In the spirit of Hojo, the eternal oneness with Creator, within creation, we are all Bella Ashlai. We are all Five Fingers people, humane beings, each of us a precious child of Creator within creation, equally, and I emphasize equally. Thus we have reframed the will to power into the will to love and goodwill. Fear is a call for love, and guilt is a call for peace, and anger is a call for joy, and scarcity is a call for abundance. We ask you, choose again and choose wisely. It has been given to me by my late father to inspire and to motivate people to remember and reawaken to holy thinking, our conscience, using moral reasoning with our sacred self intellect. This is the appropriate function of our whole brain thinking. We must activate our creative imagination in order to design co-creative solutions. That's with Creator, with self, and with others. Power within to have power with others for our collective survival and thriving on our spiritual life journey. And together, we travel the 4 prayerful corn pollen footsteps from child to youth to adult and elder within Hojo, the natural order laws that govern us equally. And I will add this phrase, Shabakeho, which is clockwise from east to south to west to north, and spring, summer, fall, and winter, and sunrise and noon and evening at midnight, and the white people and the red people and the yellow people and the black people, all born holy with this holiness with H and wholeness with W. Therefore, all my relatives, Halito, Do, Yaat, Shik, this is Diné Bazad, the holy people's language and sacred words, where it is impossible. I tell you time and time again that there is no intention of exclusion in this greeting. There is no way to say Yat E Shike, and there's no way to say, but not you across the river, not you across the fence, not you across the street, not you across the ocean. Impossible. So in the language, in the sacred language of whom you may know as the Navajo code talkers, I introduce myself accordingly to our custom. Patricia Anne Davis and Shia. Adonet Chahta, the ne, Michelin, Kachini Bachin, Chahta, the ne, Ada Shachekia Ani, Ada Chanel, Ado, Dian, the ne, Yaja Michelin. Do Nihitle. We're all the precious children and grandchildren of our primordial ancestors. And I will say a short affirmation. Pado Hojo Doles, in the eternal now, in our eternal self. Nahasan Himachona E, upon our sacred earth and our sacred father sky. Yadilkis Hashchel one. Originating from the holiness and wholeness of the divine masculine and feminine. Ha Ashada Ah E Ah Nahokos. The teaching placed in the east and to the south and west and north clockwise. In Sahakesto Nahat Apil Wajojik Ina Sihasan, clear and congruent thinking, strong planning, the blessings of social competence in communication and relationship within the family and among our extended family and human family, and reverence for nature and reverence for our sacred self. Sa'ahnagay bikahojon, taradin kekeshchin, taradin atin, taradin naantian, do taradin sad. On our blessed way journey of life, from birth to old age, we travel. We travel together, and thus we are united in this intention today. There is balance in living, harmony in communication, peace in the family, beauty in the environment, joy within our hearts and our hearth within our homes. This we celebrate today with the return of light. Hojo Nahasklin, Hojo Nahasklin, Hojo Nahasklin, Hojo Nahasklin. Love and peace exists eternally within us and around us. Ahyeh, my relatives, thank you for this precious time to speak treasure, knowledge, and sacred words from the Yin Diné. Thank you.
Patricia, thank you very, very much. for, I won't say striking that chord, for touching that chord in this beginning. Your sister Connie will take up the thread. My understanding is she'll be speaking in part about the Mayflower Compact. And then I'd like to ask Bill Konrardy if he would read from the beginning of the Declaration of Independence. This is now, friends, part of the ceremony of laying to rest, putting out of its misery, paying our respects to the ancient and ailing partisan spirit that would divide and conquer us. So thank you, Patricia, very much. Connie, welcome.
Well, I'm very honored to be here, Stuart, and extremely honored to follow Jeorgina and Patricia Anne Davis, our native people, our women, our wonderful hearts and spirits that are bringing forth the unity of all people, the oneness and sacredness of all life and the human family. And what I'd like to speak about, I will speak about the Mayflower Compact, which is what you see behind me is the signing of the Mayflower Compact, which two of my ancestors signed, drafted and signed. But first I would like to speak about the American dream. There have been many American dreams, and I'd like to start with the dream of the first peoples of the portion of Turtle Island we call North America. Deep in their knowledge, which Patricia and Jeorgina just expressed, and their way of life is the vision of humanity living in alignment with the original instructions from the Creator, which are synonymous with the universal laws that govern all of creation. This includes all beings, animate and inanimate, which have a spirit and divine purpose. This means walking in balance, honoring the sacredness and oneness that is our essence. To achieve access to these instructions, they would go out on the hill and cry for a dream, which would then inspire the tribe to act according to the dream received. Then came the dream of my ancestors, the Mayflower Pilgrims, who recognized the divine speaking through the Bible, indicating that humanity was to relate directly to God without the intermediary of the priests and hierarchy of the church. They defied their king, who was also the head of the Church of England, committing treason in doing so. They escaped and journeyed to this land called America, and 400 years ago, drafted and signed a compact binding them together in a civil body politic to enact equal and just laws serving the common good. Several months after landing on these shores, they encountered a people who shared this vision of divine guidance and participatory democracy, and signed a mutual protection treaty on their first meeting in the spring of 1621, and lived in peace and friendship with them for 54 years. The resulting intercultural exchange gave birth to the American mind, spirit, and democracy. This underlying spiritual alignment with the divine was to infuse the leaders of the 13 American colonies with a trust in providence as they crafted a declaration and a constitution with principles that, with the influence of the great law of the Iroquois Confederacy, were to become the guiding documents of the nation known as the United States of America. It is my understanding and vision that we are each here on earth in these 3D bodies at this time in the evolution of consciousness of humanity to actualize the ideals and values that came through these dreams, the principles in our founding documents of liberty, equality, justice, and abundance for all. In God we trust, e pluribus unum, from the many one, laid the foundation upon which the emergent energies now available to us may inspire a new way of being. As the old systems that were not aligned with universal law break down, we become clearer conduits of divine presence through resonance and coherence with the power of our hearts. And we bring forth a society that truly embodies the essence of unconditional love, compassion, abundance, and reciprocity in daily living in service to the good of the whole. It is in this way we will bring peace on earth and heaven to earth. So those dreams, Patricia articulated so well. Everything she said was encompassed in that expression of these dreams. And the exciting thing is that we get to go forward together with the indigenous peoples of this land, with their heart, with their spirit, with their knowledge of this sacredness and oneness of all life. And so I'm just thrilled that Stuart has brought us all together here to express this. And my ancestors, who Stuart is making the point, and Claire is saying, hey, they're here. They're here. They're excited to know that that dream of living according to our conscience, to our direct connection to the divine, is coming to fruition, is moving on that evolutionary upward spiral through this process. And now we get to, as Stuart has said, lay to rest the past, the fear-based systems, the scarcity-based systems, and we get to go forward together and bring a new way of being here on earth. So Stuart would like me to bring in the Mayflower Compact itself. And what I would like to do is just give you a little context for the Mayflower Compact, who these Mayflower Pilgrims were, and what the first compact that they put together was a covenant in 1606, when they were in hiding from the King of England because it was against the law to gather outside of the Church of England. And these people who were pastors, who were educated, Cambridge educated people, said, hey, guess what, dear King? We're getting our instructions directly, and we're going to follow those. And I would just like to read you the Scrooby Covenant of 1606. It's very short, and it led to the Mayflower Compact. And here it is. As ye Lord's free people joined themselves by a covenant of the Lord into a church estate, in ye fellowship of ye gospel, to walk in all his ways, made known or to be made known to them, according to their best endeavor, whatever it should cost them, the Lord assisting them. So that's a pretty powerful sentence that contains such very important commitment to walking in alignment with the divine and to growing and learning from experience what the divine has yet to say. And that's the position we're in right now, is listening to the divine and bringing it through as we move into this higher frequency, as far as I'm concerned, into this higher way of being. And so as the Mayflower Pilgrims made their way to America, before they landed, I'll read this a little bit before they wrote the Mayflower Compact. This day, before we come to harbor, observing that some were not well affected to unity and concord, but gave some appearance of faction, it was thought good that there should be an association and agreement so that we should combine together in one body and submit to such government and governors as we should by common consent agree to make and choose. We therefore set our hands to this that follows, word for word. And here's the Mayflower Compact. Having undertaken for the glory of God and the advancement of the Christian faith and honor of our king and country, a voyage to plant the first colony in the northern parts of Virginia, do by these presents solemnly and mutually in the presence of God and one another, covenant and combine ourselves together into a civil body politic for our better ordering and preservation and furtherance of the ends aforesaid, and by virtue hereof to enact, constitute, and frame such equal and just laws, ordinances, acts, constitutions, and offices from time to time as shall be thought most meet and convenient for the general good of the colony, unto which we promise all due submission and obedience. So there you have it. It was signed November 11th, 1620. And ultimately, those concepts came together with the Iroquois Great Law and formed our great Constitution of the United States of America. And now we look forward to our next great synthesis with the indigenous peoples. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. And now I get to put my hands over my chest in appreciation for what you've given us. So friends, part of this memorial clearing service to lay to rest the ancient and ailing partisan spirit that has divided and would conquer us, we the people, to put it out of its misery, to pay it its last respects, so to speak, involves calling to mind our founding documents, and thus the Mayflower Compact that Connie's brought to us with this wonderful background on the basis of the original peoples of our land and their vision. Bill, you wear different hats. Are you able to put on the hat of one of the founding fathers and to let us hear the words of the Declaration of Independence? Yeah.
How matakiapi. Washichu ya William Konrardy makiapi do. Bede ote otunwe imahaga do. Hello, my relatives. The English would call me William Konrardy, and I go by William Konrardy. I have my life here. My feet are on the ground in Dakota country. in the Bedote region, which is a very important place. People generally know it as the area where the Mississippi and the Minnesota rivers come together. That's origin place for the Dakota people. I was given some instructions on some Dakota language, and that's the language I was trying to use. And I apologize if I made a hash of it to my Dakota friends. But I want to honor where I am and the people who have accepted me here as descendants of settler people. My wife and I have our home here, and I'm reminded of the importance of our home by a woodpecker who was pecking at the window just outside here, taking this place apart.
Wonderful.
And so I'm a little distracted by that. I don't know if you heard that rapping, just a little reminder. And so I'm honored to be asked to put some voice into this space. This is an auspicious day. And hearing the history is powerful and important. And I'm missing my my friend Daryl Pronovost, who would talk about the Two Wampum Treaty and the Iroquois and the Five Nations Confederacy, and the time when the settlers were coming into the area and that area, and how they learned from and then adopted principles that we now know as democratic principles here. And the struggle goes on. Stuart asked me to read from the Declaration of Independence, and I'm reminded of my friend Mark Charles, who asked us to look at this very, very carefully, because the language in many cases is harmful, because it needs close scrutiny. And so we have to take it, I think, more than with just a grain of salt. I think we have to take it with a critical sense of what the meaning was meant at the time. And it's a living document, and as we know, in order to keep it alive and well, we need to really work through this language carefully. So I read it with that in mind. I'm not sure how far, it's quite an extensive document.
No, I will mute it.
It says in Congress, July 4th of 1776, fairly recent history, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of, says, mankind, requires that they should declare the causes which imperil them to the separation. Strike that imperil word and place impel them to separation instead. We hold these truths to be self-evident. It says all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, it says, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right and it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient suffrage of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. The document goes on to state facts of the day, and the context is pretty clear in that one paragraph.
Bill, wonderful. Thank you very, very much. And also for your thoughtful perspective as a modern. Would you mind reading the final part of the declaration, which speaks to our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor?
Appealing to the supreme judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, due in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all the other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bill.